So yan ang title ko ay Grassroots Leadership Formation for Grassroots Community Empowerment. Nakikita nyo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Klaro po siya.
Ano?
Klaro, klaro.
Klaro, okay. Learning from the experiences of the Education for Life Foundation. Beth, yung pinag-usapan natin kanina tungkol sa puno. Ayan, tinan mo? The roots and the branches. And yung puno doon dumadaan ang galing sa roots at nagpo-flourish. So yan. Pinuno. Puno. And in relation kay sinabi ni Elmer, nung tinanong ko, ano ba itong grassroots leadership formation nyo? Kako ito, graduate school ito para sa grassroots leaders. Kasi ang concept dati pag grassroots, pang basic lang kayo. I did not call it graduate, I call it higher education for the grassroots. Kasi kung sila hanggang basic, they are just being enabled to choose who are the leaders. They cannot be leaders themselves. Kasi basic education ka lang. So, and malinaw namang i-mystify mo na on their own, they will become, leaders can be developed. No? So, yun ang idea, grassroots. Tapos, ang context naman, hindi agad leader national or what. Ang target rin niya, makatulong mag-empower ng grassroots community. So, yun ang framework. Nung after EDSA, 1986, nag-hold kami ng 2 consultations on popular education. And ang aming isang develop na framework ay ganito. Kasi normally pag popular education, pop-ed, ganyan, ang tingin lang, ay masaya, creative, etc. So methodology. Pero that time, na-realize namin, kaya kinamata yung context, content, methods. Ang unang pinakamahalagang tatanungin mo, ano yung konteksto ng iyong education program. Ibig sabihin, sa loob ng anong programa ka nagte-training. Dapat kasi yung training mo enhances the program, can even critique it, pero tumutulong. And vice versa, yung programa dapat hindi sintonado sa iyong tinuturo. Kasi otherwise, makokonflict yung nag-aaral. Iba ang tinuturo sa training, iba ang actual ipinapagawa sa programa. The same thing with organization. Kaya, normally, when we are asked, akala na, hindi, methods lang, module, hindi, tanungin mo natin, ano bang programa ito? At anong organisasyon? So, yon. At pangalawa, yung content at methods, later na-codify ko ito, napakasimple na lang. Although, that's the philosophy, hango sa buhay, tungo sa buhay habang may buhay. So, ang panggagalingan ng laman at pamamaraan ay hango sa buhay. Eh di syempre, lawak-lawak yan, iba-ibang fields. At ang patutunguhan ng laman at pamamaraan ay dapat nakakatulong sa buhay, however defined. And pangatlo, habang may buhay. So walang katapusan yan. Hindi yung sasabi, sorry ho, wala akong natapos. Una nga, point is, pag sinabi mong natapos hanggang yan na lang, di tapos ka na, hindi ka nag-aaral, hindi ka patuloy natututo. Then one time, nakausap ko yung nasirang si Balu Doronila. Kako, Balu, tulungan mo nga akong i-theorize ang educational philosophy namin. Sabi niya, oy Ed, bago educational philosophy, tanungin mo muna, ano ang development philosophy mo? So ganun rin, parang education could be an end in itself insofar as human flourishing. Pero normally, especially more organized education, more systematized learning, implicit or explicit, it serves a development philosophy. No? So yan, pangalawa. Itong pangatlo, I'll dwell on it mga siguro 5 minutes or so. Kasi ito yung konteksto. Bakit nga ba na-conceptualize ang Education for Life Foundation? Pinaghirapan ko ito, ang ganda nito. Tingnan ninyo. Wow! Ang time frame, 1972, repression, martial law. 1992, itinayo ang Education for Life Foundation. So, sa context ng 1972, there is repression, at as a reaction, there is resistance, pero in addition to anti-martial law resistance, underlying that is social change kasi may revolutionary transformation. Within that framework, sa kontekstong yun, ano ang education, ano ang leadership? So, ang linaw mo, resistance leaders yan. Sa itaas naman, mga repressive leaders, whether brutal or sophisticated. Naghahanap sila how to control, how to manage. Sa baba naman, how to resist. Huwag kang sasali dyan. Whenever they offer something, ask some more to prove that they are inadequate, they are illegitimate, they should be overthrown. If you look at that period, I mean, hundreds of thousands of leaders emerged. Many killed before their prime, others survived. So dapat hindi pa actually natin ganap na nahahango yan. Kasi yung sinasabi ni Beth na dati, in-stereotype tayo ng nag-study ng Philippine culture na tayo passive, accommodative. Yung sabi nila dati nung wala pang nagre-resist, the Philippines is one bastard and millions of cowards. Nasabi nga ni Pepe Joke noon, siyempre, cowardice and fear is infectious. Pero courage can also be infectious. Isang implication sa leader Hindi ikaw ang nagpapa-infect, ikaw ang mag-i-infect. Ang tanong ngayon but if you look at that, ang models of leadership nyo are resistance leaders. No? Handa kang mamatay, even handang pumatay, kumilos, lumaban, confront. Hindi ka sasali to improve a system. You want to overthrow it. No? So kaya parang medyo parang underestimated, appreciated ang local issues. Yan, opportunity short term. Dapat yung malaking issue. So isa yon. From there, and within that, sa Catholic tradition, nag-develop kami ng theology of struggle. No? Hindi liberation, struggle. Sabi namin, hindi pa malinaw yung liberation sa atin. Yung struggle mismo, may kahalagahan. Now, fast forward, 1986, crucial yan. Nung paglabas ko ng 86, katabi ko dyan si Doc Prudente. And I'll say something about him because siya rin nagsabi, alam mo Ed, yung revolution ng NDF, masyado kayong obsessed sa taking power or overthrowing those in power. Kaya yung alliances iba, yung handang lumaban, hanggang. Pero kasing halaga, tatlo ang phases ng revolution at transformation. Taking power, the next one is defending it against counter-revolution. For that, you need allies na baka hindi nyo kasali sa pag-take over pero magaling mag-defend sa inyo. And the third and most important, using power to transform and deliver. Baka yung mga iba na hindi magaling lumaban, hindi palaban, they're more technical people, professional. You need them. So sabi niya, depende sa phase at konsepto mo, you have a different appreciation ng iba't ibang klaseng mga taong kailangan mo if you really want to go beyond the simple act of overthrowing a repressive regime and installing yourself in power. Ngayon, paglabas ko sa bilangguan, tatandaan ko, kalalabas ko lang, tanong agad ako ng media, Ed, how do you feel? Kako, obvious, I'm very happy. Pero sabi lang, hindi, aktivista ka You don't judge an event by personal value sa'yo. Activist ka. Paano yan? Secretary, landlord. Kayo, land reform kayo. Ikaw, anti-martial. Si Enrique Ramos nandyan. Paano yan? Tapos, gusto nyo peace. Pero, that time I did not know how to answer. Kasi on the one hand, there are people who say, tapos na ang laban, balik sa dati. Yung iba naman, hindi tunay ito. Pinake lang tayo ng CIA dyan, ganyan. Wala pa nangyari. So ako, I did not know how to answer kasi there and then. And at that moment, I experienced what the Bible says about words will be given. I usually I joke that being a good Catholic, I don't remember most Bible texts. But I remembered one text from the Bible, yung Mary's Magnificat, Song of Mary. It's a long poem, but may apat doon sinabi niya. Latin pa yan. Magnificat anima mei Domino, my soul praises the Lord. Because deposuit potentes de sede et exaltavit humiles, esurientes implebit bonis et dibites dimisit inanes. He has put down the mighty from their throne and has lifted up the lowly ones. He has filled the hungry with good things and has sent the rich away empty. Kako, yan ang EDSA. The first thing has happened, so you must celebrate. Na wala yung nasa kapangyarihan na oppressive. Ang tanong ngayon will the lowly be lifted up? Sabi ko, baka naman. Pwede, kasi hindi ka na nire-repress, pero hindi automatic. That's the political side. What about sent away the rich empty? Ka ako, may ilan sent away, but not empty. Dala-dala nila at karamihan nag-stay behind, nag-flip sides. Kaya ako, malamang the hungry will still be waiting to be filled with good things. So the social part, dilemma. So ang tanong at that moment, do you emphasize what has not happened? Or do you emphasize what has happened? And it's not a perfect balance. So naging dilemma namin yan paglabas. Balik ba sa resistance? Or we explore engagement? Engagement means you deal, I would call it now citizens politics. Sino mang gobyernong nandyan, deal with it. Maximize its potential, acknowledge its limitations. You can be critical, even oppositionist, lalo pag eleksyon na. But then, in the end, mag-advocacy ka, you engage, you try as much as possible. But that is in the context ng, sinabi ko nga, post-EDSA, when people say Duterte's election is a critique and a rejection of post-EDSA, may element na katotohanan yun, except they reduce it to rejecting liberal democracy. What happened post-EDSA is a more complex one. There were three tendencies. Ang isa, there were people, tulad, ang tawag nga namin kina Enrile noon, to some extent Ramos, tawag namin, born-again Democrats. Bad. Ibig sabihin, kung pwede lang, they would prefer a more repressive method. Wag lang out-and-out martial law. If you look at that, there are people like that hanggang ngayon sa gobyerno. The Latin Americans even had an interesting word na the elite who are democratic but conservative will accommodate and come to terms bago sila banatan. And they call it democradura. Ibig sabihin, demokrasyang diktadura or democradura, hard democracy. But ang main, consolidation of conservative democracy, misnomer yung tawaging liberal democracy ang na-consolidate. Conservative democracy ang kinonsolidate. But may liberal democratic element, close allies. And because of that, sabi namin, pwede tayo mag-promote ng popular participatory democracy. Bagamat secondary tayo, wala pa tayo sa gobyerno, a few allies, ang susi dyan, citizens mobilization, etc. Yan ang framework na para bagang nagbukas sa akin na pag-isipan itong grassroots leadership, because it needs more sophisticated engagement, hindi lang ng middle class activists but also the grassroots who traditionally sa patron-client relationship, traditional leaders or even left leaders, masyadong pa rin, nabihasa sa bahala na kayo sa amin, kayo ang may alam kayo ang nag-aral ano ba gagawin natin, sino iboboto natin, laban na ba o ganun. So sa tingin ko, mahalagang sila'y mabigyan ng parang equivalent capacity to be in dialogue with other sectors of leaders, especially the middle class intellectuals, the activists, and also the elite. So what did that lead to? Well, ang naging emphasis namin was local. Kasi ang national, if you look at the framework here, ang national, pag ang sectors nagmo-mobilize basic masses, kilusan yan. Mag-organize ka ng ilang chapter sa ilang barangay, 3 barangay gawin ng municipal, 3 munisipyo gawin probinsya, 3 probinsya gawin region, national movement yan. And you try to influence national government. What most people forget is that at the end of the Cory administration and initially implemented sa Ramos Abet, pinasa na yung local government code, which although inadequate, nabigyan ng greater power and possibility ang local government. At doon ko naman nakita na karamihan sa grassroots, ang kanilang immediate access to power where they can exert influence sa local government. Kasi pag national, kailangan nasa Maynila ka, kailangan libo-libo-libo. Pero sa isang barangay, sa isang bayan, kahit hundreds lang kayo, pakikinggan ka. At mas madali kang mag-contact sa mga barangay captain o mayor. So, ganon. So, sabi, mag-local muna tayo. Kaya nung pina-research namin sa PPRTH yung ELF leadership, sabi namin, hindi namin sila pinapagaling na leader ng national alliances o mag-lead ng maraming national protest rallies. Hindi yon. Assess them sa kanilang capacity to look for local issues, lead local action, and achieve some local achievement, even though it needs often some national things. So from kilusan to komunidad. Meaning, sa halip na may ilan kang member tapos sali ka, kalad ka. Komunidad, ibig sabihin sa loob nun, yung activist dyan, pagbabago, sisikapin mong mag-league sa iba't ibang sektor sa loob ng community. Various levels yan, barangay, bayan, etc. Tapos, ang core, 3 programs yan, and where you locate grassroots leadership, inalis ko lang grassroots, sinabi ko lang community. There is community organizing, which we usually call community reorganizing. Wala namang komunidad hindi organisado. Pero organisado yun to accommodate to the existing ones. Pero to try to have change, magkakaroon ng konting conflict yan. So every community organizing is a reorganizing. So essentially, may conflicts dyan. Kaya mahalaga later yung usapin ng how to handle conflicts. Because by very definition, parang pag inisip mo positive, iwahiwalay, put them together, what's wrong with that? But if you say organize na mga yan in a way na medyo conservative, yayanigin mo, magkakaroon ng konting conflict yan. Pangalawa, kung yan ay katawan, community organizing, susi ang organizer, you need educators. Na the educator can also be an organizer and vice versa. Pero ang habol ng community educator, yung consciousness, yung emotions, yung ideas, yung kultura, no? Yung isa parang hardware, software yan eh, no? Pero doon namin inilocate ang community leadership. Wala namang organization na walang leader. At sa education, may leaders who are more articulate. So, pero inisip namin, rather than community as an undifferentiated, pare-pareho lahat yan, within that, identify leaders. Sabi namin, paano yan? Magiging elitista tayo. Sabi namin, lahat ng lugar may elite. Ang pwes lang maging elitista. Otherwise, medyo meron ka namang ilusyon na lahat pare-pareho sa lahat ng bagay. Some are more articulate, some are more courageous, some are more risk-takers, some have greater influence. So ang idea lang, so ang tanong lang, sino yung mga leaders? Nung una nga, ang joke na lang dyan sa community organizing, wag na munang traits o leadership acts. Hindi ba? Walang leader kung walang follower. Wala siya napapasunod. O wala siya nakukumbinsi. So, ang susi ngayon, sabi namin noon, we have limited resources. Yung iba nagmamas education, mag-focus tayo on leadership. At that time nga, sinabi ko, referring to Elmer, anong plano nyo? Kako, ang idea ko parang may AIM for grassroots leaders. Or tawag nung isa, parang finishing school for grassroots leaders. Yun ang idea. Ngayon, so ito later, not at the beginning, later na lang na conceptualize when we were discussing with them, na ang leader, bagamat sabi na galing sa mga IT ito, dapat may taglayan. Ang punto nila ay kung isang kahig, isang tuka, wala ka man lamang kahit konti, magpapalimos ka pa, or wala ka mang kaisipan, wala kang alam, wala ka man lang taglay, sobra naman. Pero leader ka, nino? Kasi hindi ka naman leader ng lahat. Sino ang gusto mong pamunuan o sino ang tumitingin sa'yo bilang pinuno? So yung relasyon mo, the relationships, either trust or belief or whatever. Pero ang next is para sa ano? Kasi nga, may study nun ang AIM na may mga leader, sa Abra yata yun, magaling mag-lead ng protest action on land issues. Pero hindi magaling mag-organize at mag-lead ng isang cooperative. No, bihira yung pareho ang skill. Pareho may level of initiative, trust yung iba. Pero yung isa, mas magaling issues, protest. Pero isa, managing, leading, business, ganyan. So, para sa ano, depende. Again, different fields, different tasks. So yung relationship at tasks, ginamit naming metaphor yan dati, although normally task ang nasa likod, yung bisikleta, yung two wheels, ano? That you need both a task orientation at a relationship orientation. Sabi nga nila, pag masyado kang task-oriented, you don't worry about relationship, eh grabe, yan ang kumandis-kumandis, sagasaan na lang, kalad ka rin. Eh masyado ka namang relationship, walang nangyayari, parang happy-happy ka lang, walang patutuguhan, hindi productive. So, kailangan mo yung dalawa. So, iba't ibang klaseng leader ang kailangan. Ngayon, ang initial, yung sinabi ko nga, ang practice, sabi lang namin, walang grand theory. Hindi naman bago tayong organisasyon. Tanungin nga natin ang mga NGO kayo. PRRM, sino ang mga PO partners nyo sa community? Sino ang mga leader dyan? Padalangan nyo sa amin. Bahala na kayong mag-decide sino ang leader dyan. Basta sa punto namin, may karanasan na yan bilang leader. At walang napakasabihin natin notorious moral faults or whatever. No? Basta proof of leadership. Pangalawa, mga ibang kakilala pa ganun. So, tapos mula sa practice na yun, iti-theorize natin using other ideas. Pagkatapos further practice, iti-theorize ulit. Dito pumasok yung tatlo. Ang una, kasi aktivista kami, ang unang background namin, hindi pa Sikolohang Pilipino eh. Hindi ba, Bet? Nung una, kasi ang Sikolohang Pilipino, nung unang pinusyan, panahon ng martial law, ang nag-take up niyan, yung Tanglaw movement yata, sinanilo tayag. Gustong i-appropriate ang Filipino psychology as the Filipino ideology against both Western capitalism and Western socialism. So, parang reaction namin, ha? Pwede ba yan? So,
si Marcos, ginamit din yan. Si Marcos, ginamit din.
So, Freire was sikat because pedagogy of the oppressed. Pero people don't realize that Paulo Freire, yung pedagogy of the oppressed is really a critique of political parties. Because sinasabi niya, oppressed na yan, tapos didiktahan ninyo. People don't realize that because they see you simply as a leftist, a Marxist Catholic. His point is, to help liberate the oppressed, you should not dictate on them and command them, even though you know yung sinatawag niyang banking method. But rather, you pose problems, identify keywords, and then do a dialogical decoding of these codes. No? So conversation, ganyan-ganyan. Pero a lot of it is still resistance. By serendipity lang, in 87, I was invited to Denmark for a conference and discovered Grundtvig and the Folk High School. Na wala rin ako masyadong kilala ron. Grundtvig is one of the founders of the Danish nation, no left ideas at all. He was a monarchist but later became more liberal. Pero ang belief niya ron is that the education system in Denmark is wrong because they are schools for death, not schools for life. Ako, uy, ang ganda no, what do you mean? Eh kasi if they are religious schools, they're preparing people for the next life. So they're preparing people for death, not this life. Pangalawa, higher education is used mainly Greek, Latin, maybe even German. Eh sabi niya, why not the Danish language? That's the living language. At pangatlo, ang usual method, direct professorial lecture. Boring, deadly. He visited England, Cambridge, Oxford. Nakita niya yung interact. Naku, it should be living conversation. So ang idea, the main method of education is get people to talk to each other using the living word in their context. And naka-invento sila eventually kasi nagka-land reform na sa Denmark. During winter, mga farmers and their children would live together for 6 months and then have different topics, discussion, sing a lot and all that. So, of course, very unique yung Danish school system. Pero sabi ko sa kanya, nung makakauwi na ako, pahingin mong pera, mag-experiment sa Pilipinas. Pero kako, hindi ito application of Danish ideas to Philippine soil. This is going to be a child of at least 2 parents. Isa kayo, ang isa, sarili namin. Kayong sarili namin yung dilemma namin. Books, ano ang sarili natin? Kaya doon pumasok yung psikolohiyang Pilipino. Mabuti na lang. Meron tayong hindi lang mga anecdote, example. May theory na rin dito. So it was crucial for us. Otherwise, para lang kaming from being parents, magiging grown pigeons ka. Hindi pwede. No? So yun ang origin ng ano. Ngayon, what did it mean in concrete? Ito yon. Sabi namin, pag ikaw ay leader sa community, hindi agad organizational leadership or program leadership. Ang mahalaga, ano ba ang key competencies mo na dapat magaling ka? For whatever reason, I don't know how we arrive at it, at least 3 pinakamahalaga. Dapat magaling ka mag-communicate. Pag leader ka, pagsasalitain ka sa harap ng madla, sa meetings at iba pa, at haharap ka sa authorities. Pero hindi sapat yun. Dapat marunong ka mag-facilitate ng diskusyon. Hindi ka nagdidikta. At pangatlo, kahit paano, dapat marunong kang gumamit ng media pag in-interview ka, ganyan. At saka sa'yo, mabilis ka, malinaw, sa halip na paligoy-ligoy. So, isa yung training in communication. Sabi namin, itataya namin ang effectivity ng ELP training. Our leaders will be good communicators. Some are more articulate than others, but in general, hindi pwedeng quiet, silent type ka lang. Pangalawa, negotiation. Sabi namin, ang premise nito, negotiations hindi among each other, kundi with authorities. Kasi merong ang idea mo nga is make democracy work, challenge the authorities to deliver on their promises. But you must do that not simply by demanding, you must know how to negotiate. At mag-homework ka muna, ano ba talagang gusto mo, sigurado ka bang tama yan? Hindi sapat na sabi, gusto ko'y katarungan. Anong katarungan? Sa lupa, ano yun? Ilang hektarya, bakit? Kanino ang titulo, kaya etc. Tapos, beyond that, sino ang hihingan mo? Ano ang kiliti niya? At anong hihingi niya in return? Tapos, mag-role play kami. Talagang, actually, ironically, nag-role play. Kuminsan, there are actual practice negotiations that resulted. Pumunta sila bisan kay mga AITA, kay budget ni Ramos doon, nasabi pagdating sa mga AITA, ano kayo, maghihingi na naman kayo rito. Sabi na kali, hindi ho, narito kami para ipaliwanag sa inyo. Ganito ho ang aming ginagawa na sa aming lugar, para sa aming lupa, sa aming taniman, etc. Nakumbisi ng husto si Jun Enriquez. Sabi, sige, bigyan mo kayo ng 2 milyon para sa project. Balik sa amin yung mga ito, Kuya Ed, wala pa tayong training on project management. Nanalo kami sa negosasyon. Anong gagawin namin sa perang yan? Pero ang punto nila, negotiation at saka may give and take yan. No? And then pangatlo, mahalaga above all, dahil nga sa loob mismo ng komunidad. So hindi pa itong overthrowing versus accommodating, kundi sa komunidad mismo maraming banggaan. So pag ikaw ay leader, isa ka sa crucial na mag-aayos yan. And part of the laboratory yan is sila mismo. When they are together in 6 weeks residential course, sabi namin, sa loob yan, may mag-aaway sa inyo ng gusto. Ngayon, ano ang tinatutunan ninyo, i-apply nyo. Hindi mag-i-intervene ang staff. Mag-o-observe lang kami. Maghanap kayo ng diskarte paano yan ayusin. And in all the 40 or so courses we had, minsan lang we had to intervene the night before graduation because hindi talaga ma-resolve yung conflict. Why 6 weeks residential course? Well, the Danish had a 6-month. Sabi namin, hindi natin kaya, wala tayong pera. Pero totoo, may value being together as one cohort and living together. Ang problema lang, wala naman kaming training area. The bulto ng nakakuha namin pera sa Denmark went into rental, transport, etc. Pangalawa, karamihan hindi kayang mawala ng 6 weeks sa kanilang sakahan, sa kanilang tindahan, sa pamilya. So we split it into 3 weeks each with a break in between para makauwi. And then, naghanap kami ng either sponsor or what na magbigay ng konting family allowance, mga 3,000 for the whole 6 weeks. Dahil nga, libre man yung course, hindi nila kaya. No? So, pero before the 6 weeks course, yun ang innovation sa ELP, wala yan sa Denmark. Dahil nga hango sa buhay, yung kay Grundwig ay tungo sa buhay lang eh. Sabi namin, hango sa buhay. Kasi when we were planning the course, paano natin pupunuin yung 6 weeks? Kung ano-ano pinaplano. Then we realized, mali. Hango sa buhay. So, yung buhay mismo at karanasan ang una. At pangalawa, maghanap tayo sa labas ng mga buhay na halimbawa ng magaling na kooperatiba, magaling na barangay, magaling na basta. And then, yun ang paghahanguan natin. So, ang una muna kwentong buhay, mga 3 days yan in groups of 3 to 5 with facilitator taking notes. Nagtatanong at kwentuhan, pero maraming tanong, pero what we found most useful was something I posed to them, no? Combining appreciative and critical inquiry. Sabi namin, ano ang tatlong pinakamahalaga, pinagmamalaki mong either achievement mo sa buhay or biyayang natanggap mo sa buhay? Para kita mo ng blessings. Pangalawa, ano naman ang 3 greatest frustrations mo at failure sa buhay? So yon, yaman yan. Marami nang iyakan dyan at iba pa. Eh, reaction ng iba, muna, ano bang klaseng eskwelahan dito? Ba't kami pinagtatrabaho? Kailan ng lecturer? Tapos pangalawa, sabi ng iba, ay ang ganda naman ito. Hindi ko akalain, marami na pala akong alam. Later, we developed this into an instrument na tatawag namin, sana mag-develop ka ng isang learning portfolio. Para may record ka ng alam mo. Ano ang iyong learning claim? Ano ang learning evidence? Ano pa yung learning goals? Sabi nung isa, si Romy, tatanda ko nung nabuo niya yung kanya, naging life portfolio mula sa pagtaba. Sabi niya, pwede ko nang ipakita ito, folder yan sa aking apo. Sabi, oh, ang lolo mo, marami na palang alam. Kasi ang dilema mo, pag wala kang diploma, wala certificate, ganyan. Pagkatapos ng residential course, ay syempre marami pa silang gusto, pero wala na kami pera. At saka arami na dyan. By that time, nagsimula ang distance learning, 1,700 graduates na yata. Hindi na namin kaya. So, nag-isip kami, distance learning. Noong una nagsimula yan, ay arami naman mga NGO yan na hindi nabebenta ka ng mga literature. Bilhin na lang natin, ipabasa. But the more we studied, and we were happy because may isang British expert on distance learning na kinuha ng BSO at dineploy sa ELP, na sinabi niya, oh, distance learning does not simply mean na there is a distance between the teacher and the learner from one another. Pero siyempre, ang isang challenge lang, the learning material should be something that the learner can understand without the help of a teacher. But then, you also need learner support. In other places, sa OpenU sa England, meron kang tutor na pwedeng tawagan. Pero sabi na, paano tayo? So, ang inisip namin, nag-train kami ng ilang mas magaling na mga leaders, ginawa namin kaagapay, na sila mag-o-organize ng small learning groups in their barangay or nearby barangay. So, hindi magastos. They meet once a week, siguro half a day. Pinipare namin ang learning materials. So, ipapacilitate nitong kaagapay yung kanilang discussion at learning assignments. Yan ang karanasan natin sa, and over what, 10, more than 10 years, 12 years yata. I forgot na. I think we had almost the same number of yung graduates ng residential course at graduates ng distance learning course. Pero siyempre, overlap yan kasi marami nag-distance learning course ay graduate rin sa residential course. At nung tinanong namin, ano ang mga unang topics na go, ang kauna-una sabi, gusto namin tungkol sa pagninegosyo. So, pamumuno at pagninegosyo ang una, leadership and entrepreneurship. Tapos pangalawa naman ay citizens advocacy on local governance. Later, naging on popular education. After that, ito post. May 2 other influences. Ito mas personal sa akin, although kung may konti rin sa ELP. At may magandang ilingkit sa Sikolohang Pilipino, Beth. Si Howard Gardner is the theorized multiple intelligences. Rather than one generalized intelligence you apply to different fields. Sa tingin niya, through research, may distinct intelligences. He has codified around 8 na. He is not sure if there is such a thing as spiritual intelligence by his standards. Pero what I found most useful, other than he saying mahalaga ang musical intelligence, which is important for Filipinos, hindi lamang mathematical intelligence or verbal intelligence, yung intrapersonal intelligence, interpersonal intelligence. I think this is where my overlap sa atin, Beth, no? Intrapersonal, yung sense mo, sino ka. at interpersonal, marunong kang kumilatis at gano'n sa iba't iba. Pero it's more like intelligence, hindi pa volume deeper. Si Daniel Kahneman naman, who is the Nobel Prize winner on behavioral economics, but he's a cognitive psychologist, siya nagsabi na, alam mo, we think fast and slow, yung mabilis, and that's what we use, pero we have so many cognitive biases. For example, between the immediate and the long term, between loss aversion and hope for gain. Sabi niya, like for example, sa Israel, sinabi niya, he is a pacifist. He wants an accommodation with the Palestinians. Pero sabi niya, I know for a fact that the normal average Israeli, except the peace activists, will not trade off immediate security, which means also repression, for the hope of a future peace. So ngayon, hopeless na ba? Precisely, that's the role of leadership. The leadership, in a way, goes beyond what is the normal, but appreciates what is the normal, is sensitive to it, but doesn't yield to it. Mahalaga yon. Then pangalawa, yung sinabi nga, there is the experiencing self and the remembering self. The experiencing self is passing. Like ngayon, we have the experiencing self. But what governs us is our remembering self. Kaya mahalagang mag-notes, mahalagang magsulat, mahalagang materials because hindi natin ang nagde-define ng ating mga judgment is yung na-accumulate at selective yan na nire-remember natin. Kaya isa rin yan sa nabumbisi sa akin, kaya inihanda akong maganda itong aking slides kasi para masulat na rin ito. Ito ang last item na lang. I changed it from my previous framework, pero dati kasi nilagay ko school-based as ang laki-laki. Sa akin ngayon, I think the new understanding, whether for learning in general or leadership in particular, we have to think of not only lifelong, yung contextual, but multiple systems. And hindi naman lahat agad yan, but which one? So ganun yung slogan, hango sa buhay, tungo sa buhay habang may buhay. Ang joke ko kay Yusek Bacanino nung siya DepEd, ako kayo naman Yusek, hango sa libro, tungo sa notebook habang may test. Tapos babawiin ko, hindi naman, pero alam mo, yung librong maganda, hango sa buhay yun. At kaya sinusunod ko para huwag makalimutan pag ina-apply. At bagamat ang ultimate test ay buhay, pero pag yan ang unang test, baka maging fatal ang mistake. Kaya may preliminary test. Pero ang kahulihan ay buhay, buhay, buhay. Yung libro, notebook at test, mahalaga rin yon. Pero ilugar natin kasi mas mahalaga ang buhay, buhay, buhay. So yun. So ngayon ang nakita ko, tama-tama yung sa babay home-based, sa web-based yun ang dalawa. And then meron kang work-based, whether a farm, enterprise, office, community-based. Sa gitna na lang yung school-based, center-based. So a whole variety, I call it based rather than a system because it's not formal, informal. So I think these are some of the ideas lang na gusto kong bagitin and I like to wind up pag yung sinasabi ni Elmer kasi we can always have nice, cute projects even if libo yan. Ang joke nga namin sa NGO, baka we have a bonsai approach to development. Yung cute na maliit. Pero it will never scale. So ang tanong ngayon ay, paano natin i-offer ito sa mas marami, given limited resources, but also the challenge. Sabi ko nga nun, if we just use the barangay as the organizational context for grassroots leadership, we have 42,000 barangays. If you get 9 elected plus 3 na appointed for the Barangay Development Council, so have 42,000 times 12. In theory, you will have close to 600,000 in theory, higher education enrollees in grassroots leadership I call it formation. Sabi nga ni Dudong, formation and parang religious yata. Kaya formation talaga ito, hindi lang ito learning. Because ang point ko is, if we do not develop grassroots leadership, ma-overload sa leadership on top, leadership in the middle, leadership in formal institutions. We need all kinds of leaders. Ang isang missing element sa atin, and that's governs also the biases. Ang tingin talaga sa baba ay puro pabigat, puro reklamador, parang puro mga relatively passive, without initiative, without their own ideas. Ako naman, the opposite hope, halos na romanticize na kung inadequate yung practices and theories about established former leaders, baka naman may didiscover tayo dyan na hindi lamang newer practices, but from their theorized something which we contribute not just to ourselves, but also to others who are willing to listen to us. So yun po ang aking presentation. I hope it has been useful and we can have an interesting discussion.